Hello, everybody. Welcome to Author Q&A. I'm your host, Wade Bradford, and today I am talking with the amazing Dana Middleton. Hi, Dana. How are you doing?
Hi, Wade. I'm doing great. I love being called the amazing Dana Middleton. I feel like I should be on the trapeze.
Yeah. Or, pulling out rabbits from a hat or something like that.
Something like that. Exactly.
Hi. Well, it's a pleasure so I've been getting to know Dana through internet friends, basically. We've become Facebook
Oh,
friends not too long ago. And so I asked her if she would join me on our show. I'm going to pull back a little bit so you can see. Look at all those books. Now, are those some of your books on the shelves, or are these just your favorite
there
books?
are a few of my books on the shelves, but friend shelf and then modern library books and Hollywood books. I have all kinds, but we have books. I would say too many books for the space we have, but books are good to have.
That's an excellent problem to have,
Yeah,
having too many
exactly.
books. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful problem. Yes, so for those of you joining us on Facebook and YouTube, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Dana Middleton, feel free to chat in the comments. Today we're going to be talking about some of her books that have already been published. We've got The Infinity Year of AVALON James, and we have the book that I'm reading, Open If You Dare. And we're also going to talk about her upcoming book, but I'm going to tease that a little bit. So I want you to stay tuned, watch the whole show, because we're going to, now her cover has already been revealed because I found the cover on a blog. So it's not the world premiere reveal, but it's a premiere reveal. It's going to be revealed for the first time on my YouTube channel.
It's a YouTube reveal.
Yes, it's a YouTube reveal. There you go. It's an official YouTube reveal. So you can stay tuned. Make sure you stick around so that we get to see the cover. Looks like we've got maybe a comment already. Let's see. Oh, somebody says, let's see what we got already. She is the amazing Dana Middleton, my beautiful and wonderful cousin.
Hi, Beth. That is my cousin from Georgia.
Oh, well, hello, Beth. It's always good to start off with nepotism. I think that's the right way to go.
Somebody in my family is paying attention to my Facebook feed. That's so nice.
I'm glad. It's a nice sign, isn't it?
Yes.
It's good. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about books. We're going to be talking about some trivia questions later on, and then we're going to be doing the cover reveal. So let's get started. I want to let you kind of take over before I ask any questions, and I would love for you to tell us, because I imagine that there's probably some great cousins from Georgia out there watching, but there might also be some aspiring authors. Some of my creative writing students might be out there in internet land. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your writer's journey and how you published your books.
Well, it was a long journey. Let's put it that way. It really was. Like, I moved to Hollywood when I'm from Georgia originally. I moved to Hollywood. My husband and I did a long time ago, and really to work in film. And I wanted to be a screenwriter. And he was a screenwriter, is still a screenwriter. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be something? That's really what I wanted to do. I never thought ever that I could actually write a novel. I mean, truly, that was just like, are you kidding me? That's too far off. So that's what I really worked to do. And I got some, we didn't get any, I have a writing partner who I'm writing with actually now again, which is interesting. We got some things happening, but we never got anything produced, and it just didn't quite go where I wanted it to go, which happens to a lot of people, as you know. But we wrote a screenplay that was a kid's story, and something just clicked in me, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, something opened up, and then I got an idea for a book, which is still not been published, that book, but I wrote the book, and you know what I mean? And then it becomes that journey. Then I wrote the next book, and you have to go down that rabbit hole of getting an agent and doing all the things you do. But for me, it was really a lot about learning to finish. I was one of those writers who would, really have this great guns inspiration and go for it, and then I'd kind of peter out. Mm-hmm. And didn't understand that creative process of just, I call it kind of being a farmer, you get up and you plow your row every day. And once I really learned that, I actually could finish things and understood that it's not so much about inspiration all the time, that you just show up and do it. And hopefully that inspiration comes.
And let's build off that, if you don't mind, because that's a really important skill, I think, for writers to learn, right? Because we've got these shiny new ideas around us, and we often don't stick to the idea that we're trying to develop. So about how old were you when you got into that process of actually finishing things, and what sort of methods or schedule did you use to actually finish books?
Way into my 30s. Like deep into my 30s.
Last year.
Yes, so last year. Did I start to understand that this was a process, that this wasn't just something that was going to happen, that I was just going to get it, because I wasn't going to get anything done in like 2 days. That's about as long as the inspiration really lasts. So I had to really, just learn to kind of do that. I mean, I learned it some as you go. I should close things like my mail here. Sorry about that. I learned things, I think it was just kind of an ongoing process of figuring out that really mentality of just showing up regularly. It's consistency. I know it sounds so completely boring. And sometimes it is boring. And I'm sure you know that as a writer, right? That some days it's just like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I will do anything other than do this. How many, dishes, anything, instead of writing, right? You'll just do, like, what can I do? I'll clean the house. I hate cleaning the house. What would I do that for? So, but you'll do all those things to avoid it. But then the magical thing that happens is if you just sit down for even 5 minutes and get into it, all of a sudden you hit that, you get into the zone, and then it's not, and then you're there. And that's what's so great about it. It's just that resistance getting in that to me was often the hard part.
It is funny how there is that. I think many writers, myself included, we have this little part of our mind, that resistance that you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
And yet we know that when we get into the zone, that's a really good place to be. That's
where we want to be. That's why we do it. It's where time disappears and we just are there. And we're also receptive to what's coming. And I think that's really, when you're in the zone, you can just be a good, you can take dictation, be a good listener, is as important as being anything else. Because once you're in that zone, stuff's going to just come if you let it. And so, I think the main thing for me is just allowing myself that space to get into the zone. And then it'll all work out.
Okay.
Do you ever say this too, Wade, that you can enjoy your books or your plays or whatever you've written because you can kind of look back and marvel, like, how did that happen?
Yeah. I am always delighted when I read a paragraph or a line of dialogue that I've completely forgotten.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know how I came up with that. I forgot that I wrote that, but that's quite delightful. I was pretty funny.
Oh, who wrote that? For a minute, you take credit for a minute and then you go, oh yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah. It is wonderful when characters take a life, have a life of their own on the page. And I do want to talk about characters, but before, a little bit more about the technical side of the writer's journey. So, because I know that aspiring writers like to know the stories of how people got published. So what was your first book to get published? And did you go through an agent? Did you not? How did you get? Is the first book that you published, is that the Infinity Year of Avalon, James?
It is. And I did what they say you're supposed to do, which didn't work for me for years, which was, querying. And I researched who I wanted. And I really found somebody that I wanted. I thought, this is the right agent for me. Now, strangely, she's not my agent anymore. I have a different agent, but as it goes sometimes. And I'm forever grateful to her for opening that door.
Yeah.
But she, I knew, like, she was closed for queries, and that's when she'll, if you don't know what that is, it's when you write an email, you write a letter, you write an email to an agent to say, here's my, this is my book. Would you be interested in reading it? And you often will include a few chapters and that kind of thing. And she wasn't open to queries, I think, for 3 months. And I had it on the thing. Like, I waited. I just waited. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, that morning when she opened for queries, I've been waiting. And literally she got back to me within 24 hours and said, I want to read the manuscript, which was like, okay. So that was really a beautiful moment. It really is. Because I know, it can be challenging to get an agent.
Yes. Well, I think writing query letters is challenging in and of itself. Getting, like, Because we spend hundreds of pages to tell the story, and then it's like now tell the story in a very small paragraph.
And be a salesman, so to speak.
Yes.
Which is whatever. But it was but it worked out. It worked out. How about that? It worked out.
I'm glad. All right. Well, I want to talk about some aspects of your writer's journey for Open If You Dare. So that's the book that I've been reading. By the way, these books, let me show the photos again. So I did, I've listened to the first chapter of The Infinity Year of Avalon James. And so I have that on Audible. That's available on Audible. But this showed up in the mail about a week ago. So I've been reading this and having a good time. So my question is, with either of those books, is about character. And how do you go about creating your characters? Are your characters very closely related to some of your childhood friends or modern day friends or relatives? Or do you find that you are just really inventing them from thin air?
All of the above.
Okay.
Like some characters are exactly based on people. In the Infinity Year of Avalon James, one of the Atticus is really based on my nephew, who I've never heard say a bad word about anyone. And Atticus is that kind of character. And like my parents are his grandparents, they're like exact people. But my main characters, I think, are often a part of me, and they just kind of seem to come. I can't explain that part of it. Like they kind of come, the main characters to me. And yeah, that's kind of surprising. And I think the ones, and usually for me, it starts with character, or character will come and kind of hold on and be like, nope, I'm the one. And I might try to change them. And they're like, nope, you're not, this is who I am. And that's happened a little bit too. This idea like, oh, I'm writing about you. Yep. You're writing about me. And so I don't, it's just one of those things. And I really trust that now, that the character will be the doorway in for me.
Okay. So with with Open If You Dare, you've got the three characters, right? And Birdie is the main character, and then she's got her friends Rose and Allie. Yeah. So have you had, and what's interesting about them is that they're really bonded, right? That part of the well, I don't know if I should let you talk about the plot. You want to tell us?
No, I'd love to hear what you think about it. They are bonded.
Yes, they are bonded. So for me, the plot of this book is really twofold. You can see by the title, it's creepy Open If You Dare, and the opening hook, which I want to know. Once I explain it, I'd love to have you tell me how you came up with this idea. So if we can see that willow tree on this cool island, this is the secret kind of getaway where these girls, this is basically going to be their last summer, because Rose is moving back to England, which she's very upset about. And there's a new school opening, and Allie's going to the new. No, wait. Allie's
going to the new school.
Allie's going to the new school, and Birdie is staying at the school. So they're on their island. And Birdie, our main character, notices this wire within the tree, like under the bark of the tree. So it's been wrapped around this tree for decades. And they unravel the wire, and then the wire goes underground, and they pull up an old box, and it has a mysterious letter, kind of a cryptic riddle poem. At first it says, "Open if you dare," and "I told you so," and these warnings. And this poem that seems like perhaps somebody has been killed or something terrible has happened, and whoever's writing this letter is probably not alive either and wants some kind of revenge against this mysterious person. So it's very sinister. At least it's possibly very sinister. And yet at the same time, this is really also a story about these three girls, and it's their last summer together. Yeah. In theory, I haven't finished reading the book, so maybe it'll turn out like we're not going to England. But I have a feeling it feels like this is their sort of last hurrah together, and they're transitioning into from childhood into sort of the early stages of the teenage years. So I really loved it. Like I said, I like that opening hook of the mysterious chest inside and the wire wrapped around the tree. How did you come up with the detail of the wire wrapped around the tree?
I'm going to say this a lot to you today, Wade.
You don't know.
I have no idea. But I knew I wanted this. I wanted it to be a mystery in the form of kind of a scavenger hunt, but one that's a real mystery, like a murder mystery. And and the mystery is based on something, there's like a ticket in the box from Allman Brothers concert from 1973 or something. I can't remember now. But these odd things like, which to them is ancient history. Night is ancient. Is like that's ancient history. So
well, that's one of the things that I what's fun about reading that I was telling you before we started. I love reading middle grade fiction, even though I'm approaching my 50s, but I love the fun adventure aspect of it. And I also love how these stories and just because we write children's literature doesn't mean we're not writing something that's very authentic to the human experience. And that when we're writing for children and about children, we're not talking down to children.
I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is to never talk down. It's just to be like you're writing for an adult, but you're writing for kids. I mean, you might not use the same words or, slang words, but
to get technical a little bit, Dana, do you have, because one of my challenges, especially if I'm writing middle grade fiction, is trying to determine the right level of vocabulary, especially in dialogue. So what do you do for that?
I just write it. Okay. And sometimes people will say, hey, this isn't exact. Like when I wrote Avalon, I wrote her originally a little younger, and people said, no, you wrote her older than that. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got to put it. But I don't know. I don't kind of pull back. I want to go ahead and just write as kind of sharply as I can, and as kind of mature as I can within the bubble of middle grade, but not dumb it down. Kids can do it. I mean, I mentor some classes, especially one class in Georgia. And, I love talking to them about writing and reading their writing, because they are very mature in their thoughts and in their writing skills. So I kind of like take a lead from them.
That's good. Yeah. Whenever I have a chance, I teach college students. And so I try to absorb, it's like, what are you guys talking about? What's so if I'm around young people, it's like, I'm going to listen to see what kind of cadences you have and what words you say and things like that.
I'm so bummed because my nephew, who's in 8th grade, they're having the 8th grade dance this weekend. And tomorrow they're going to be at my parents' house in their backyard having like the pre-dance thing. And I'm just like, darn, why am I not there? Just to like be sitting here, here's your cocktail, everybody, your cocktail for your 8th graders. But you know what I mean? And say, just to listen, what are they talking about? What are the words they're using? What do they say? Have somehow tape them. That's what I want to do. I want to be an eavesdropper in all middle grade conversations.
Okay, cool. I love the going back to your main character in Open If You Dare. I really liked the complexity of Birdie's motivation, and because there's a lot going on in her life, and so she's a rich, complex character. And so I was wondering what because I guess I even got the question written out. I'm asking what motivates these characters. So Birdie has two things going on in the story, right? She's the one that really wants to solve this mystery.
Yeah.
And the other characters, at times her friends are interested, and then at times they're dragging their feet. And then I've gotten to the point in the story where they're like, we're done now, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think is what's motivating her character to continue on with this mystery? How do you see her motivation?
I think, and a lot of it I understood afterwards more than when I was writing it, I think. I think it's that her life is kind of coming undone. Her friendships, which really moor her, are changing. Not that they don't love each other, but they're not going to be in the same space together anymore. Yeah. And I think that really unsettles her in a way that she doesn't know how to deal with it. And so having this mystery gives her something to solve, right? A puzzle that if she can solve it, it's almost like, when we can't figure out things in our lives, if we can solve that puzzle, somehow we feel like we have some kind of control. And I think that's really what it is for her, that she wants to get her arms around something. If she can solve this, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's the sense I get, that this underlying theme or motif is this lack of control and the desire for control. One of the questions I also had was because I was really sad when the grown-up characters when they ground her for helping out with the stink bomb.
Oh yeah.
She gets grounded, right? And it's like they ground her for 2 weeks. She's only got a couple months of the summer. So what do you want? So if a grown-up is reading your books, I have the same kind of question for kids, but we'll start with the grown-ups. So if a grown-up's reading your books, or a parent or whatever is reading your books, what do you want grown-ups to learn from your books?
To quit sucking. Like kids make mistakes. We make mistakes when we're kids, especially at that age, because we want to help our friends. And she really wasn't. She wasn't doing a bad thing. Rose was doing a bad thing, but you kind of go along, and then you get caught up in it, and you're trying to help your friend, and then it's just like, and then they really get punished, and so she is losing precious time with her friend, which freaks her out. So then she has more time to try to solve the mystery, which she starts to solve.
Yeah. Yeah, there's different phases where they get closer to solving it, so that I can honestly say, I probably lied to you anyway, but I'm going to say honestly that I'm going to finish. I'm really close, and I'm excited to read. Again, I don't want to give away too much about the mystery, but I'll give you a clue. When they go to the nursing home.
Oh, you're that far. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So when they're at the nursing home, where they've really started, she's done a really good job of detective work.
Oh, yeah.
And you're talking about how the Allman Brothers is like ancient history. And it's kind of the fun aspect of this book is how it shows us how the internet age, like we're gathering data and the girls are taking selfies and everybody's posting what they're doing on Instagram. But in the 70s and 80s, we didn't do those things. And so it's not easy to find out, like, who were our neighbors back in the 70s? Like we don't, it's not easy to find those things out. Well, here's my next question about the kids. What emotional experience do you hope to create with your work for children, for your younger readers?
I really hope, one thing about this particular book, and I think all my books, one of the main themes is friendship. And I think as kids, throughout your life, but as kids, friendships are so important, and this idea that really, I think to honor that in a weird way, like to honor how important friendships are and feelings, how you feel about all this stuff. And I think the emotional experience for me in this particular book that I didn't realize until after I'd written it, was that when I was their age, we were moving. That was my last summer with my two best friends. And because we didn't have the internet and different things, we really lost touch. We're back in touch now, all these years later. But I recognized this book for me told me how very sad I must have been. And I didn't remember it like that, even though I'm sure I was, but that I really was sad. And the loss that we experience as kids is real. I think a lot of parents are like, well, we're moving. Well, what about my life? What about what's important to me? Not that we don't have to go with them. I guess we do. but that idea, also the independence. I love that in a gang of three, they can be so independent. They do stuff. They go. They don't just they're not, and that, which I like, which was in the 70s when I was, their age, that was, we were just completely free. I don't know about you, but it was just
how
whatever you want.
Be back before, when it's sundown, that's when you should be back.
Exactly.
You care where I am, then no, don't get arrested.
Don't
be back before dark.
See you later. They just didn't care. So whereas now it's a lot different, but because they live in a neighborhood, which I based on that neighborhood where I grew up, they have that sense of security of being together, and they kind of know the places they can go. And of course, like kids, they also go to places they're not really supposed to go.
Okay, cool. Well, I like that one of the questions that I was asking was what childhood experiences shaped your writing, and you answered that already about Open If You Dare. But what about the Infinity Year of Avalon James? Is there anything within that book where you drew upon your childhood experiences to help tell the story?
Well, one of the places we moved was to a farm in North Georgia. I lived in Atlanta, and then we moved a couple of places, but we ended up on a farm, and that was Atticus' grandparents' farm, where a lot of stuff happens, where the climax of the book happened there. And I think this was a little bit of a love letter to my parents too, because of that, even though Avalon isn't about them, but there was a little part of that, of having what I learned from the farm, the farm experience, which was really cool. And setting is important to me. So taking those settings that I know and kind of making them fictional settings.
Cool. Good. Well, I'm looking forward to finishing reading Open If You Dare, and then on audio, I'm excited to listen to the Avalon James book. We're now going to segue to your very own game show.
Oh my gosh, I've been a little bit, dreading and excited about this at the same time.
Yes. So when I have my author friends join me on this little chat, I like to have them tell me 3 topics that they if they were going to be on a game show, what 3 topics? And you chose, I hope I remember this correctly, the golden age of Hollywood, right? Yeah. 30s and 40s Hollywood, not film noir. No film noir.
No noir.
So no detective stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I can do the Thin Man, but other than that.
Okay. And and then you also said British slang.
Yes.
Then you said presidents, but then you backed away from that and you said the British monarchy from the 15th century onward.
Correct. I stand by my choices.
Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna play. And the first round, I even made some little cards. The first round is the golden age of Hollywood.
I don't know if this Gloria Graham.
What's that?
That looks like Gloria Graham, a young Gloria Graham.
Well, I was gonna ask if you knew who this actress was.
Isn't that her?
It's not.
Who is it?
I can give you a hint. I'll put it back up.
Let me see it again, because she was.
So this actress was she started in the late 40s, but is more famous for starring in South Pacific, the Rodgers and Hammerstein.
That's Mitzi Gaynor. She looks like Gloria Graham there. Okay, fine.
Ding 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 ding. Yes, you got it correct. You're already off to a win. That's a win.
I was not off to a win. I got a second.
You answered before, because I was going to give you the hint.
Okay, all right, fine.
So you answered before. You jumped the gun a little bit, but I'm still going to accept that as a win. All right.
Okay.
So now the next round is can you name the actor and actress that's part of this famous Hollywood couple, or at least on-screen couple? Here you go. Here's the first one.
Well, yeah, Rick and Elsa from Casablanca.
And what are the names of the actors?
Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman.
Okay, very good. Okay. So that one was too easy.
That was pretty easy.
That was too easy. Okay, let's see how you do with this one. I'll go with these.
Oh, we see, those are my favorites. That's Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. But I'm trying to think which movie that is, and I should know because they all kind of run together for me.
They do.
That is.
And by the way, I don't think I know exactly which one. I think I know.
It might be Shall We Dance. That's when she's the dance teacher. Oh,
yeah, I think it's Shall We Dance. And as a bonus question, although I'm unprepared for this, I wanted to know, because I didn't know if you liked, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
I love Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
You named, you said Shall We Dance. Can you name some other titles that in which they're starting?
Flying Down to Rio.
That's their first one.
Roberta. See, probably doing order. I'll probably get it wrong. Top Hat, Shall We Dance, Swing Time, Irene, the story of Irene and Vernon Castle.
Yeah.
Carefree. I'm missing one. And Barclays of Broadway, which was later.
Wow. And that was 10 years later.
I think I'm missing one.
You might be. I don't have the list in front of me.
I'm missing one.
But anyway. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed.
I love them.
I should have got the official list. I think you've gotten most, if not all of them. All right. So you're good. This is a good topic for you. So you know. All right. Here we go.
Okay. It happened one night. Claudette Colbert, Clark Gable. That was the movie where when he took off his shirt, he didn't have a undershirt on, and it destroyed the undershirt business industry.
That's right.
And it was the first movie in 1934 to win all Oscars in the main categories. All
right, very good. Now, because I have heard about the decline of the undershirt business before from this movie. Do you know allegedly what movie brought it back, or what actor brought back the undershirts?
Who was that?
I believe it was Marlon Brando for like Streetcar Named Desire and the Wild One. Yeah. Because that's what he was wearing. All right, so and do you know the director of this?
That would be Frank Capra.
All right, so Frank Capra. So here's your bonus round. So you've already won. You've already won the Hollywood round.
Yeah, this is my easiest. Wait, this is my easiest subject though. So
okay. I should have saved it for last. So this one's for bragging rights.
Okay.
So this is directed by Frank Capra. It Happened One Night. Can you name other movies directed by Frank Capra that have the word "it" in the title?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Very good.
Oh God, like Meet John Doe. Let me think. I'm trying to think. It's wait a minute. That's gonna be terrible if I don't, because I'm gonna be like, okay, so Barbara Stanwyck was in several of his. So let me think. And now I can't remember. Oh no!
For the audience, you can help her out if you want to leave a comment.
Help me out. Somebody Google it. It. Okay, so I mean, he's written so many. I mean, he directed so many movies, and of course, I can't remember an It. I got one.
One, yeah, you got one. One is very obscure. It's from his silent film days. It's called like Say It with Sables.
Oh, I don't know.
But the more famous one is You Can't Take It.
You can't take it with you.
And a lot of people don't know this, but he also directed It.
I was going to say, how about It?
Yeah. No, that part's a lie. That's me being a liar.
You can't take it with you.
You did very well. Now,
You Can't Take It With You is so good. If you haven't seen that
I've seen the play. I've not seen the film.
It's so cute. Gene Arthur and James Stewart. They're just so cute.
Jimmy Stewart.
So cute.
Yeah, I love Capra's work. Let's see. So our next round is I've actually combined the British slang and the British monarchy in a segment that I'm calling Cabbages and Kings.
I love it. Can I tell you one reason why I chose this category?
Please do.
Because I didn't tell you, I don't know, but I wrote this book called The Young American's Unofficial Guide to the Very British World of Harry Potter. Because my husband is British. And when I was reading Harry Potter, I think I was on Chamber of Secrets years and years ago, and thought, kids, there are too many English isms in there, like history or I don't know, any, slang that we just aren't going to get. And I wanted to, in a fun way, explain them. So I feel like I don't have any hobbies, so I figured that's my hobby. So.
And hold up the unofficial Harry Potter's guide to British slang again. I did see this on Amazon, and this looks like turn it to the side so I can see how many pages are in it.
Oh, a bunch.
Okay, that's
it's all about and it goes through chapter by chapter and goes through them. And
wow, how long did it take you to write that book?
It took a while.
Yeah,
it took a while. I still have other volumes. This just covers the first 3 books.
Oh wow!
I know exactly.
More.
When time allows.
Yes, cool. Well, so let's get into British slang. Do you know that? By the way, I was trying to learn these things. I don't know that much of British slang, so I might not have all of the definitions correct. But I've heard the phrase before, "cabbages and kings," from Lewis Carroll. But I didn't know that cabbage was British slang for something. Do you know what cabbage is British slang for?
I should. That I don't know. Is it money? Is it? No.
What I read was it's like a kind of a dim-witted person.
Oh my gosh, my husband will really get after me because, no, I did not know that. There you go. Cabbages and kings. Okay. Now you taught me something.
Well, again, this is from the internet, so it might not be the most reliable.
True.
Oh, let's see. My YouTube friend, Obnoxious and Anonymous, says, great to catch you live. I'm glad you're here, Obnoxious and Anonymous. It's good to see you. Let's see. Oops, I forgot my things. Where are we? All right, so I have buttons over on the side that have all the questions that I'm punching up and stuff like that. All right, so let's see how this goes. I hope this turns out to be fun. Okay, so what I've done is I've phrased questions. Questions that are something about the British monarchy. Some of them are trivia, and some of them are just your opinion, but it might depend on you knowing the British slang for you to answer it correctly. So here is the first one. If you had been one of his wives, oh, I didn't type it correctly. Hang on, hide that. See if I can fix it now. Ha ha ha. If you had been one of his wives, which monarch would probably have given you the cobby wobbles?
I would say Henry VIII.
Okay, very good. And what are cobby wobbles?
I don't know exactly how to define it. Is it kind of like the I won't say the creeps, but
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So one definition is an uncomfortable feeling in the stomach caused by feelings of nervousness or fear.
Especially if you're a couple of them.
Yeah. So, and other definitions, it could just be something like, oh, I ate something that gave me the cobby wobble. So it could be an upset stomach, but I saw, it's a great word. There's just a lot of weird, great British slang words.
Honest to God, better words than we do. They do. Yes. They have better slang and better words than we do. It just hands down. They do.
Well, yeah, they've been living on an island developing the English language for years, and they've kept all the good ones. All right, this is a matter of opinion. This is very objective. It's all your opinion. What member of royalty do you think is a fit bird, and why? Okay,
a fit bird would be a hot woman. And who's going to be the hot woman? I don't. Who's a hot woman now? I'll give it to Kate. Kate can be a fit bird.
Okay, Kate.
Why not?
My vote is. I have some photos somewhere. Which one do I like? You know what? We often think of Queen Victoria as kind of like stuffy in her old age, but this portrait of her in her younger age, I think, is quite a fit bird.
Yeah, I think Princess Margaret was definitely a fit bird at a certain point in her life.
Okay. So this is a phrase I've heard cobby wobbles before. I just had no idea what it meant, but I've never heard the phrase fit bird before.
Yeah, or to be fit, we think that's somebody who's like worked out. No, to be fit means you're good looking, you're attractive.
All right. Well, then, which king do you think is dishy, and why?
I don't think there is who's a dishy king.
Well, what does dishy mean?
I think we say that too, though, don't we? Somebody who's dishy is handsome.
Oh, I don't know.
Handsome, or like.
Okay,
charming.
so has dishy been embraced by American language?
I think we say it.
That's true. People think he's quite a dish.
Yeah, somebody's a dish.
That's true. Yeah. But I've just never heard it turned into an adjective, like dishy.
Yeah.
So do you have any kings that are your favorite?
I would probably think that Henry VIII was dishy, like when he was 20.
Oh, maybe.
Don't you think? Probably.
Well, he gives me the cobby wobbles. So
he does give me the cobby wobbles too.
I thought that, and now my wife and I have been watching The Crown, so I think this is, Elizabeth II's father.
Yes.
Is it George VI? The sixth is the.
George VI. I would probably think his brother, who abdicated, might have been dishier, but he was also a little bit Nazi-y too. So
yeah, see those kind of the ideological stuff. It affects the way I
it doesn't. That kind of takes
somebody is a dish or a fit bird
away. If you go visit Hitler, that kind of takes that kind of nullifies any of your dishiness.
You shouldn't have done that.
No.
Let's see. Here we go. Which king was worse than done up like a kipper? In fact, someone done him in.
Done up like a kipper? I don't know. I know they eat kippers for breakfast. I don't know what done up like a kipper. In fact, someone done him in. Well, let's think about that. Who was done in? I think Richard II was done in. Richard III was done in. Do you mean like they were killed?
Yeah, and there's multiple answers, so that but we could go with this one because I do have a specific image for this. But you're right about like Richard II. Like he was. I'm going off of what I know from Shakespeare. I don't know what actually happened in history, and then there's people like Richard III killed in the play. He's killed in battle. Is that what happened to Richard III in real life?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
But which king was executed by Oliver Cromwell's people?
Yeah. He was. That was Charles I.
Yes, Charles I. And I found photos not photos, but paintings of Charles I. It's like he knew that he was going to be beheaded because look at he's hiding his neck.
There you go.
He's like, he doesn't want his neck exposed at all. So he was onto something.
Yeah, there's some other really bad ones. Edward II, I won't even tell you what happened to him. It was really dicey, not dishy, but dicey to be king back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Mel Brooks said it's good to be king, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Here we go. Whose coronation was the first to take place on a goggle box?
Oh my God! Oh, I know, Queen Elizabeth II.
That's right. Yes. So now I've heard it being called the telly,
The
But
tally.
I've never heard it called a goggle box.
I haven't either. I'm just guessing. I was guessing. That
You
was
are
a guess.
correct.
Yeah.
You are correct.
On the television.
And this is our last one. Which king went balmy?
That would be George III.
Yes. George
went
III
balmy.
suffered from acute mania.
I actually think it was some kind of weird disease thing that made him like kind of really go balmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were familiar with what balmy means? Like
balmy.
That's
Yes.
Your husband ever used any of these words that we've mentioned?
He has used a couple of those words that we mentioned. Yes. Balmy, definitely he has used.
All right. Let's see. Well, let's see. Oh, here we go. Your cousin's trying to ask her what up the apples and pears means. Rhyming slang from London.
That means up the stairs, apples and pears.
Okay, it's part of the Cockney rhyming stuff, right?
Cockney rhyming slang,
Okay,
which Beth knows a lot about.
I'm glad she's keeping it clean because who knows?
Yeah. Oh, it's good. Yeah. A lot of it's clean. A lot of it's clean, but some of it's not.
Well, thank you for playing your very own game show. You did a great job. So now, as a reward, we get to talk about your upcoming book.
Yes.
And we're now going to show the cover of the new book, Not a Unicorn. Yay! So when does it come out?
It comes out September 21st, and you can even start pre-ordering it now at Once Upon a Time bookstore in Montrose.
In Montrose, a wonderful place. Are you going to be having a book signing there?
We are. We're actually, I think, still doing a virtual signing, though. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
On September 21st.
It's going to be nice when we can do actual book signings.
And I talked about that, and it might change, but I was talking to Maureen over there, and she said it's just the store's not big enough to have the distance that she thinks that we still need, which is fine, because it's kind of cool, I think, to do a virtual signing because you can have people from everywhere.
That's true.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's true. I noticed this line from Open If You Dare, and I was wondering if you remembered it. This is on page 70. It says, they give me, this is your narrator, Birdie, says, they give me a look like I have just grown a horn out of my forehead.
I always like to plant a little Easter egg.
And that is the plot, if I'm correct, of Not a Unicorn. So tell us about Not a Unicorn.
Yeah, I knew that when I was finishing that book that I was going to write this book. Mm-hmm. So I put that in there.
So you did.
I did.
So it's like this conscious decision.
It was a conscious decision, yeah.
All right, so tell us about Not a Unicorn.
So Not a Unicorn is about Jewel. She's a girl, a 13-year-old girl with a horn on her head that looks like a unicorn horn. And the story is about her. She is changing in her life. She's really good at certain things. She has a couple of opportunities to do things where she would have to be seen, and she's not okay about being seen because she's so used to being stared at. That she just will almost at this point do anything to have the horn taken off. Mm-hmm. It's very complicated to have the horn taken off. And she's like, a very determined person who wants to figure it out. So she's finding a way to take it off. But at the same time, there are other things at play. It's a little more complicated than you think. And there's also a fantasy element in this book too, that is kind of like, if she does this, what will happen? Mm. Part of the theme of the book is learning to accept ourselves, but she goes through this whole journey of having to learn to love who she is with or without her horn. And that's pretty much what it's about.
That's very nice. Thank you for explaining that, because I know it's not easy to, that's
the first time I've done
that idea of the novel.
That's the first time I've done it, Wade.
I want to ask a couple details about this plot, because it sounds very intriguing. And if you don't want to give anything away, you don't have to. But is this something that she has had all of her life?
Well, it started when she was about 1. Mm-hmm. It would have been kind of hard to come out that way, if you know what I mean.
That's true. It's true.
But it happened very early.
Okay. Very early. So it starts growing very early. And so it's something that it's had all of her life that she can remember.
She only remembers having this horn on her head.
And is she living, is the world that you have built, because you said there's kind of a fantasy element, is this the kind of world where seems to be the only one that's like this?
Yes, absolutely. sorry, it's contemporary, meaning it's a real, it's not a kind of unicorn, like a rainbow and unicorn situation. It's really a contemporary book about a real girl in a real life. And there's some other stuff too.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Is it, are you familiar with like the genre of magic or magical realism?
Yes.
Where there might be something kind of bizarre that happens and everybody just kind of accepts it? Is this something akin to that, or are people kind of freaking out every time they see, or like are strangers freaking out all the time, or things like that? Or
I think people at school are used to it.
Gotcha.
You know, she lives in a small town.
Okay.
Used to it, you know. But when she goes to other places and she does with a horn on her head, it's a big deal, you know. And she's been when she was a kid, she's been on tabloids, you know, like Batboy or whatever, you know, like she's kind of, she would call herself a freak.
Yeah.
She called, you know, that's, I'm not calling her that, but that's kind of, you know, how she feels like she's seen in the world. And, you know, nobody who's 13 wants to feel that way.
Sure. And maybe you don't have an answer for this, but this is such sort of a fun, unique idea. How did you come up with it?
What did I tell you earlier? I was going to answer a lot. I don't know.
You don't know.
But, you know, I really don't know. She is such a character who came to me and I really couldn't say no. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I can't write a book about a girl with a unicorn horn on her head. I mean, literally, I was just freaked out by that. I'm like, that's going to make me too weird. I had to go through all of that. Like, that's like, how weird is that?
Yeah.
You know? And I remember telling my mom, because I always tell my mom, and my mom reads my things first and everything. I said to my mom, Mom, okay, you know, and I really felt like uncomfortable telling her. I'm like, okay, next book's about a girl with a unicorn horn on her head. And she just looked at me and went, oh, Dana. Dana. She loves Jewel and she thinks she's a big champion of the book, but it's this idea of, like I thought, and I had people in the business, like I had people in the business say, like my first agent who was like, she just didn't get it. And I thought, wow, how am I going to stand by this idea that's different? But she persisted. And so, you know, as it goes, and I'm so glad I listened because this is the book I wanted to write.
Yeah, well, I think the idea of a unicorn means a lot of different things today, right? That there's something that's unique about it. There's something about that, again, it draws attention if we're calling ourselves a unicorn. There's something that's magical, even if we're talking about the real world. So I'm excited to see what it's like. So when I know you already said, but just to remind the audience, when does it come out again?
September 21st.
September 21st. All right, cool.
Everywhere, I hope.
And you might not have an answer for this question as well, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So Not a Unicorn is coming out in the fall. Are you currently cooking up a new book as we speak? Cooked
and out. So hopefully it's, you know, knocking wood, is going to find a home soon. But I'm actually writing this book, which is a series. It's somewhat of a supernatural mystery series with my friend and screenplay writing partner, Kate McLaughlin. And we've never written a book together, but we wrote this book and we have this whole idea for this series that we're super excited about. And so we're already starting the second book in that, hopefully, you know, to go. So yeah, it's really been fun. And that's been the pandemic book. We wrote a book during the pandemic.
Yay.
I mean, really, you know, that to me, it feels like an accomplishment and a book that we're really excited about.
Well, that's good. I wrote half a book for the pandemic and decided like, no, it's not working.
I think in a weird way, it was really fun, even though when we've written before together, we would write together and we've hardly seen each other, you know, from afar. We've seen each other a couple of times, but we've done everything on Zoom. And I thought, wow, how is that? I mean, we didn't write on Zoom. We wrote on our own, but we would go through things together and plot things out and whatever on Zoom together. And I just thought, we did it, you know, to write something with somebody else was really.
And you're already on book 2 of the series. That's great.
We're starting book 2 of the series. Yeah, we got the idea and everything. We're ready to go.
And as far as collaboration goes, what's your process between the two of you?
Well, luckily, we're really different. We're very complementary. She's a great world builder. because we're building a world, hopefully to sustain us for many books. She's really great at character development and, you know, all that stuff that just for me, I kind of like go by the seat of my pants on. I really do. And she really will flesh it out and she's so imaginative. It really is fantastic. So much fun. And I am good at structure and, well, good-ish. Who could say they're good at structure? You know, whatever. You know, that kind of stuff. And we write kind of different chapters separately, and then we put it together. And then I usually will kind of go back through and be sure we're in the same voice. Okay. So it works. It's working. I think it's going to work. Hey, wait, it's going to work.
It sounds like it's working. That's great.
It's really fun.
All right. Well, my last question for you is, will you come back and visit me again when your other books are coming out?
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? I'd love to. I'd love to. I might not be so scared of the questions, your own trivia.
I'm going to ramp things up. These are a little too easy for you.
No. Listen, I was like, what am I going to do? I don't really I wish I had a hobby. I love when Carol she could do the Hamilton lyrics. I'm like, I don't know the Hamilton lyrics. I don't know anything like that. What am I?
Well, it sounds like you're following the Royals pretty well. So
I got the Royals down. I got the Royals down. I got some of the English slang, whatever. But anyway, it's fun. Good. But this is so great. I would love to come back, and maybe Kate can come with me with the next, with that awesome. Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Let's make it happen. All right, everybody. So this has been Q&A with Dana Middleton. Thank you so much, Dana. And we're excited about your new book coming out. And this is available on Amazon. So if you want a fun summer read, if you don't want to wait for the unicorn book, then get this or get Avalon James. Is this one on audio too? Do you know?
It's not. No, just Avalon.
Okay. Yeah. So read this the old-fashioned way or on your Kindle, and Avalon James is available on Kindle and on the audiobook. And that's it. I'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me.